I'd like to call this meeting to order of the RTM Parks and Recreation Committee regular meeting on January 4th. Go to meeting virtual meeting. We'll take attendance first. Sarah Baldwin. Here. Patty Bumgardner.
I'm here.
Patty's here. Okay, sorry. That's Diane. She can't hear or, okay, so let me call her. Okay, you're on FaceTime. I'm just going to leave it on, okay?
You're going to leave the FaceTime on?
Okay, I'll turn off the FaceTime. But I'll leave it.
I have no sound.
Okay, so you can't hear our meeting.
I cannot hear the meeting. And I think Bill is trying to call me maybe too.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe he's.
Forget about it.
No, that's okay.
Is Cheryl not having any sound also?
No, everybody else has sound. Okay.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so wait a minute. Now I'm looking here. Can I do this? Speaker.
Adele, can she try to call in?
I'm going to try and text her the directions I use.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to, Diana, I think I'm going to get feedback if I do this, but I'm going to, Cheryl's going to text you the direction she used. She had to do something a little different. You can try,
Okay.
you might have to call in on your phone. Okay. Okay, we'll see if they can do that. So we'll skip. So Patty's here. I know. Diane's on her way. Cheryl's here. I'm here. Sue Ellen's not here. Kim's here.
Yes.
Andy's here. Sandy Savage. Not here. Alyssa is here. Shannon Silsby is here.
Here.
Bill Van Loan is here. And Alicia is here. Okay. So we'll circle back on Diane. Hopefully she'll make it in. First on the agenda is a discussion and possible vote on acceptance of a gift of $20,000 for renovation of Cherry Lawn Gazebo. I put that on the agenda because I wasn't sure if it was going to be ready to come forward yet, but it's not. And Pam is in the process of, or she has, what's today? Tomorrow. It goes out to bid tomorrow. Yes, Pam? For the
Yes.
a bid. Correct. For so then they'll, by the end of the week, they'll open the bids, and then they'll know if they've got enough money, if the $20,000 will cover the renovation costs for the rest of the gazebo. The roof has been done, and then they will come to the RTM or go and go through the process of accepting that gift.
Correction. It'll be a couple weeks before the bid opening.
Yeah, end of the month. Correct.
Yes.
I just have a quick question, Adele. Do we have to wait till the project is bidded out before we can accept the gift? I'm a little unclear as to the process here about this gift.
I think the idea is that because of the questions that are likely to be asked, which the RTM always asks lots of questions, and so does the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. So they want to know if there's going to be any more costs associated with this. That's why they're waiting, because they'd like to know all the costs first so they can answer all the questions and whether they are going to need to ask for more funds or not, or if the $20,000 will cover it. So that's the reason for waiting this time.
So we would have to ask the gift giver for more money, or
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little unclear about.
I don't think, no,
The
I don't think
reason
so.
the reason we're going out to bid first is because when the bids come back in, based on the scope of work listed, that will indicate whether the funds that we have in place are enough. If the bids come back and they're all over $20,000, we clearly don't have enough money. And that will put us in a little bit of a bind in terms of accepting the money without having enough money. So we'd have to go back to the town and ask for more additional funds to add on to the project cost.
But it's not from the gift giver, obviously.
No, no,
No.
I didn't think so. I just wanted it. I haven't been through this process.
absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Thanks.
and considering that we're having an early meeting now, our meeting was before rules meeting, and the rules would assign committees to various things. And so, since we're doing it before then, I just wanted to make sure, in case it was going to happen, that we would be able to vote on it now instead of having to meet again. So, but that's not an issue, and now you've had the update on it. So next on the agenda is discussion of the 2023-2024 Parks and Recreation Commission operating capital and 6-year plan request. What I sent to you was the final from the Parks and Rec Commission. It is their request to the Board of Selectmen, and Pam is going to walk you through the highlights of it, or the changes from previous budgets. And it a little bit changed in the last iterations. So we'll let her do that, and she's going to share her screen maybe.
I am going to share. First, I want to say, thank you for having me. This is always a pleasure to try to educate, this commission and committee, as well as trying to make sure that my commission's on board. But, since I started here in 2015, it's been interesting getting to understand the different committees and commissions and boards. And, it's super important to build good relationships with all these volunteers. And I just appreciate all your hard work. I've grown to understand more so about what the job and the influence of this committee is, how helpful it is to our budget. So thank you for your time. Yes, I'm going to try to share my screen. So there is a little bit of a lull. So Adele, I'll just wait to hear from you that you can see it. Because if you can see it, everybody else can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and share it.
Anybody else who's not muted themselves, mute yourself, okay? So that you're not, here we go.
Okay, so it's up on my screen. Give it a couple seconds. Are you seeing it yet, Adele? No?
Not yet. We've been minimized, our pictures.
Okay, let me go back. If you've been minimized, let's see. Let me try this again.
Okay, now we've got had your screensaver. Okay, so it was actually on its way. So
okay,
try again.
Yeah,
There you go.
There's a lull.
As we do this, I'll say Diane Conlog has arrived, and I see also that Sarah Baldwin arrived too.
Okay. Is it up?
Your screensaver's up. There we go. There we go. Now it's
Can
up.
you see the budget?
I can.
Okay, excellent. So here is, I don't want to spend an awful lot of time on this because your committee, RTM Parks and Recreation, is very involved. And so this will not be the first time you're hearing some of these things. So you've all seen the document. I'm here to share it, to answer any questions you might have above and beyond what you've already heard and what you've already seen. What I will say about the revenues, which is on your screen right now, is that each line item is, breaks down the amount of money that we bring into the department, which offsets our operating budget, which is always super exciting. And I, as a director, love to be able to increase these revenues to help offset the taxpayers' budget. So we, right now, it is a little bit complicated on the revenue side because we've changed about 2 or 3 times over the course of the last 7 years of how the revenues are show up. But in a nutshell, since 2020, we have brought in gross revenue from like 1 million to 1.3 million. Actually, if you went step back to 2019, we were about 800,000 to 1 million to 1.3 million. Now in net revenue, that means somewhere around 150,000 above and beyond to well over 300,000 now. So we want to continue this upward trend. And we will continue to try to do that with creative different ways. As you see, our kayak storage was previously is about 14,000, went up to about $27,000. So those are different ways that we can bring in revenue. Our concession stand at Weed Beach brought an additional $7,000 this past summer. So in a nutshell, that's that. If I bring this down, the rest of these line items are our expenses of our operating budget. And I just like to start because there's a lot of them. This goes on. This takes care of our park crews, our organized recreation event expenses, our grounds, fields, and building expenses, all broken up into different categories. So how I'll explain it to the Board of Selectmen and to Kate Bush, the town administrator, and the town selectman, Monica McNally, is that our budget drivers here, like the biggest changes in this budget would be that we are proposing a new full-time position. And what's unique to this new full-time position, which you can see over here on the right-hand side where we're proposing this new full recreation coordinator position, is that we will also be taking, if we get this position will take on the waterfront coordinator job, the seasonal position, a paddle attendant part-time job, and a park monitor job. So it's unique in the sense that we'll be saving our operating budget $66,000. So what you're seeing here is I pulled out all those expenses of what we typically charge the budget to find part-time people to run those jobs. I hope I'm explaining this clearly. And the reason we're doing this is because over the last 2 to 3 years, we have been finding it increasingly difficult to fill these positions and to find good people for these positions. So with that being said, if we can find one full-time go-getter that can fill all of these positions throughout the year and do more for us, creating new ways to create more revenue as well, would be a win-win on both sides. So that's the explanation for that. The other budget driver would be the fireworks account. So if some of you don't know about the fireworks, back, I want to say 2017 and beyond, the fireworks were held by a separate group, a nonprofit group that helped raise funds for the fireworks event. The fireworks event costs approximately, I'm going to bring this down to show you. Let's see, I think I'm down here for the fireworks. Yeah, right about here on the right-hand side. So the fireworks cost approximately $38,000 a year. And all those funds came in from sponsorships and donations. And as I said, a separate group was handling those types of donations in order to have that event, and also did it. Now, once 2018 came around and we got a recreation supervisor full-time position, it felt that it was just the right time that the town would ask us, Parks and Recreation, to take over the fireworks event again. At that time, it was indicated that the people that helped raise the money for the sponsorships and donations would still be in place from year to year in order to help alleviate us trying to, ask for money for this type of event. at this time, this past year, it's been, it's been told to us that that's not going to happen anymore. This particular couple people that help raise the money, they've done it for way too long, and they're done. They've done their job. They've helped us out a lot, and so it's really been put in our lap that we would have to raise $30,000 to $40,000 every year to have this event. So we feel that we should propose this back to the town. We do have $23,000 left over from last year. So I added 15,000 in for the 2023 event expenses, and with the idea that the following year we would put in the full cost of the fireworks. So that's that. The third driver is the invasive work that the Parks and Recreation Commission has been working so diligently on. And the invasive work, let's see if it's on this page, right? I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I'm highlighting around the maintenance of highland plantings reduced and the increased invasive budget, which we had $8,000 in last year, and we're increasing that to $25,000. The $8,000 was really under budgeted. We had a very aggressive vendor that came in at a very low price, and unfortunately, he's nowhere to be found right now. We're not really even sure why. He did some great work for us at Cherry Lawn. We saw an explosive amount of work, and a bunch of invasives have been removed, along with our crew also adding to some of that work as well. But we can only guess that maybe he was under budgeted. And so we feel that the work was really important. It's work that needs to continue, and our commission has asked to raise that to $25,000 so we can continue this great work throughout our parks and remove invasives that eventually will choke out our good trees and plants and shrubs. And the final budget driver of this operating budget is the geese control. So we've recently been getting more and more complaints about the geese and the mess at Highland Farm around the beautiful walking path. And we have just since gotten our geese control vendors back in operation at Tilly Pond and Town Hall. So I've added an increased $10,000 to put geese control back at Highland. And I only say back at Highland because temporarily we switched, when there was some issues at Tilly, we switched the vendor from Tilly Pond to Highland. And it was doing a great job, but then we brought it back to Tilly when there was more issues at Tilly Pond. So I think the $10,000 would be a very good benefit to town. So everything else that you see here that you've either printed out and you've had this document on your own, there are some, small increases, beach sticker increases. There's been additional paint increases. So everything's really listed out here for you. So I think I would end by saying that, and quite honestly, even through the full-time employee, the increase is only 3.85%. So it is very interesting. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we get the support for the new position. But I do think that it would be a great value to everything we're trying to do here in town for the community. So if there's anybody that has any questions other than what I've just described, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Cheryl Russell.
Pam, I want to go back up to the top. Oh, shoot. I lost the budget. Where'd it go?
Oh, that's okay. Did you want me to bring it back?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I just wanted to understand this new position for a full-time position was 58,000 plus benefits comes to about 90,000. But in your description, you said now he's going to coordinate all those people. How is that going to save us money? Then let me see where I am here. Let me make it.
Can you see it now, Cheryl?
Yeah, wait a minute. I got to zoom in on it.
Yeah, it's back.
Make it bigger. Okay, so the position that will reduce the following budget lines by $66,000. Waterfront coordinator, seasonal paddle attendant. So we're not going to have these people, or I'm a
No,
little
this
confused when
particular,
you say,
I understand. The full-time recreation coordinator that we would hire would conduct and do all those positions. They would be the waterfront coordinator. They would be our seasonal that works in the springtime. Let me stop right there. In the springtime, it will be our seasonal. In the summer, we will work with this particular position will coordinate the waterfront directors. In the fall, this coordinator would be part-time paddle attendant, and also throughout the summer it will be a part-time park monitor. So all those positions were part-time, and we believe that this full-time park recreation coordinator can do all those things and more during the year for us, and we'd have one consistent go-getter.
okay, so the park monitors that we've had for the last couple of years, we're not having again. The
We
security.
would not, with this part-time, this recreation coordinator would fill that role.
Okay. Okay. So he, she, it will be able to do all of this?
Yes. Yes, because our part-time park monitor, if you recall, they were part-time. They were scattered throughout the week. Sometimes we would have on Tuesday afternoons. Sometimes we would have on Wednesday mornings, because we always wanted to change those hours up. And then we had weekend time, for the park monitor, which was really important because we weren't around. So the park monitor was to be the eyes and ears of the park. But during the summer with the waterfront coordinator as well, that's really about coordinating all the hours and shifts of the lifeguards for both beaches. So a lot of that work can be done.
Is this person going to work 7 days a week?
It's a full-time position that would work nights, days, and weekends, but within 35
40-hour work week.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Pam, Shannon Silsby. I had a quick comment. So for he, she, or they, just a little human resource idea. It'd be interesting to offer it as kind of like a fellowship for someone who just graduated with a leisure studies or sports and recreation degree. I don't want to create a revolving door that you do it every year, have a new person, but that would be an interesting way to get some talent. Or tap into a talent pool that could then, get a broad array of experience across all of the programming. Just an interesting human resource idea for that role.
I agree, and it would definitely, for that price, for that salary too. It is an entry-level position that would learn all those areas of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, shop that to some colleges for sure, some career offices.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's an incredibly great opportunity for Parks and Recreation position entry level, and it goes beyond those part-time positions, because the gaps of the year would be helping our department to come up with creative additional ideas to bring in some more programming, extend our events, and we wouldn't be out there searching for part-time people that don't want to stay in low-income positions.
That's good. Thank you. Anybody else with any questions on this part of the budget? I just have one question. At Highland Farm, I saw you had a reduction in the maintenance. Was that the field? Did you decide? I wondered what happened with the organic on the field at Highland, if that stayed in the budget or if it came out.
That's going to be a reduction, and it's not a reduction there. That's because the maintenance of the Highland plantings, not the organics, but the Highland plantings were reduced because most of that maintenance was in the first year of those plantings and shrubs. So our staff will be taking over the majority of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? We'll move on. Bill, were you trying to ask a question?
No,
Okay. Thanks. I'm glad to know you're still there.
I'm not. I was sleeping.
Oh, I'm sorry I bored you.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Okay, we can. Okay. So that's it for the budget part. Are we
So we
going to
can
go
move on
through
to the capital.
Yes. Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen and put up the capital. And Adele, just let me know when you can see that.
It just popped up.
All right, great. So this particular year is a very interesting one because there are quite a few capital improvement projects that the town is going to have to prioritize. We typically don't put forth this many. So I'm just going to go right down the list. They're all highlighted. You probably heard them before in previous meetings, but we have the solar pond aerator that's at Cherry Lawn. That is primarily to help with the water quality of the pond, which over the years has produced a lot of fungus and green algae, and having a pond aerator there, especially by solar, seems to be a great move. We've wanted to have an aerator there for the last few years, but the electrical connection from the bathhouse or the nature center was extremely expensive. So we never went that route until we decided to go solar. Repave the nature center driveway. This has been a discussion I've been having with the nature center for the last few years, and then 2020 hit and it's been kind of put on hold. But every year during the winter time, that circular drive, which under their lease agreement, the town would continue to maintain, has been sinking near the entrance of the facility, and it has been pooling water. So during the winter, it ices, and it can become very dangerous and slippery. This repaving also has to do with repaving of the regular drive into that circular area as well. Now that 50,000, mind you, is a placeholder. It is something that I had to just put there because I did have a contractor meet me out there in early December, and he never came back and gave me the final number. So I have since reached out to them twice. I'm waiting and I'm hoping before my budget meeting with Kate and Monica that I'll have that final number. I simply just threw that 50,000 out there and said, I'm hoping that's above and beyond what it's going to be. So that's really a placeholder. The evaluation of the 3 Little League fields is 15,000. I thought I would pull that up. This is what it looks like when I have to do a capital project request summary to the town. So every single project that I propose will look like this. So they ask what the problem or opportunity is being addressed by this project. And here I say the baseball fields and softball fields at McGuan Park need a professional evaluation to show where the grading issues are and what needs to be done to fix them. By not doing this project, the fields will continue to develop grading issues that we cannot completely fix in-house. So they ask, what is the goal of the project? And we say to obtain solutions that will help improve the quality of the infields of the Little League fields through infiltration, rate tests, laboratory testing, and analysis and irrigation evaluation. They also ask what options were investigated to address the problem or opportunity. Our park crew performs daily maintenance to the fields, but does not have the ability to evaluate the fields to get them back to their best quality and grading level. So this is what this looks like, and I felt I wanted to read that because that can be a little bit confusing as to why we would need an evaluation. So that's that. The next one is renovate. Go ahead.
That was helpful. That was helpful. Thank you.
Great. The next one is to renovate the cement patio that is lifting the patio from tree roots and structural foundation repairs at the McGuan concession. And I should say it's not just a concession, but it's a field at the McGuan Park. The situation there is that the Little League takes care of the inside of the facility, and the town is to maintain the outside of the facility. So I think it would probably be helpful to read that one as well, is what we're putting forth to the town. And on this project request summary, we're saying the tree roots on the patio surrounding the concession stand are lifting the cement and creating a safety concern. There have also been signs of stress on the structural foundation of the building that can be addressed at the same time. What is the goal of the project? To remove the trees that are causing the patio to buckle, which creates safety hazards, to also address the shifting signs of the building's foundation that should be corrected now before serious issues happen over time, and also additional money that would cost over time. What options were investigated? The space is too small to have many other options. The tree roots are the problem with the patio, and the structural issues can be addressed by adding extra support to the facility's foundation. And the benefits to the project are to have safe conditions on the patio and to secure the foundation of the facility so the life of the building is prolonged. So I know that there is extreme concern about the trees, and I certainly, if the town decides that this priority is one of the top priorities and that funding should be approved, then we certainly will take additional looks at whether the trees can be saved. There's 5 of them. But for now, we're moving ahead with this $200,000. It's a quote from a local vendor who's been doing a lot of work in the pear tree neighborhoods. And so he came out and did a thorough look at what needs to be done, and came in at 185, truthfully. But because this project would be 6 months to a year out, I put in 200 just to make sure that was that 20% increase potentially. So a lot of you know, sometimes we put these numbers out here, and then if they're approved, we don't get the money till July 1st. Which means that by then, sometimes the vendors don't even allow that same price, because usually their quotes are only good for 30 or 60 days. So that's the reason for sometimes a 20% increase. So the next one is install irrigation valve at Houlihan Field. That speaks for itself. It's an older system, and every once in a while you have to install the new valves and to replace the old ones. That's coming in at $18,000. Weed Beach, we have the Meadow and Trail project. This is a project we've been discussing and designing and proposing for the last 3 years. The commission really would like to see that short lane area of the short lane piece of the property that was invested in by the town well over 14 years ago, to be utilized in a great way for the community to use. And so Meadow and Trail, we've reduced the price from 1.9 million to 1 million by being more mindful of putting pathways around the entire facility. We removed the kind of circle of we had almost a mile of a path, and we reduced that, cut that out of the budget. We cut the boardwalk out of the budget and reduced the design to be just at the area where the area has been cleaned past the overflow parking, and it's been grassed out there. And it would be to remove all the invasives, and it would be to increase the beach size and to produce an area that could invite more community events, more community gatherings. It just would be an incredible space on the water to enjoy more that we, and I think the big idea, the biggest part of this project is to utilize more of the 23 acres than this community has been able to enjoy all these years. There's 23 acres there, and we typically use about 5 of those 23 acres with the paddle facility, the tennis courts, the picnic area, the beach, and there is so much more quality areas to the property. And so this would absolutely give us a big opportunity for the community to use it in various additional ways than we do today. We also will be talking to the Darien Foundation on Monday night and giving a proposal there to see if they will also offset this $1 million by a grant through them. So we'll wait and see on that. The next one is to replace the gatehouse. The security gatehouse at Weed Beach is well over 20 years old. It's rusty. Let's see if I can pull up my summary on that. Let's see. I thought I had the summary. I might not have. I guess I didn't include that one. That would have been interesting only because I did have pictures of all the rusty areas along the gate. There's times where we have a difficult time even opening the sliding gate door or even locking it because of the rust, and it's very sharp, it's rigidy. We did list it as a priority 2. So it is, depending on how many projects the town has to weed through, this could be a potential project that gets pushed out a year. But we'll see, what the upper administration thinks about that. Our commission felt it was best to leave it in for this year, and we'll see what happens. The next one is $25,000 for the bid package. Yes.
This is Patty. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question? Back one.
Sure.
What
Go.
amount you are pitching them for?
Which amount, Patty?
I think she's talking about the
for
meadow
your
and trail.
information, for the Weed Beach portion that you were talking about. Do you have a set
Yes.
amount of that $1 million that you're pitching them for?
Yes, we are
Or
requesting.
you're just doing the presentation and waiting to see what? Pardon me?
We are requesting $350,000.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. So the next 25,000 is the bid package for the Meadow and Trail, because regardless whether we get this proposal of the $1 million, we still need to have a bid package that will lay out the design and the scope of work and all the paperwork and all that for the project. So that would be the first thing that we would need in order to proceed with the Meadow and Trail project. The next is $20,000 for stripping the paddle court, one paddle court at Weed Beach. All the paddle courts are, they're well over 7 or 8 years right now with the same paint on. And what happens is that each year we repaint them, we keep painting on top of the other paint, and it gets thicker and starts chipping. And so we have been told we need to start the process of stripping these paddle courts down to their original base, so that they will have a better, let me just see if I, best way that I can, let's see if I thought, sometimes when I've already written it all down, it's easier to, here it is. So paint builds up whenever the court is resurfaced. The surface becomes chipped and uneven over the years, and the only fix is to strip it down to bare aluminum. What is the goal of the project? To resurface the first of 5 paddle courts. What are our options? We consulted with both of the major paddle tennis construction companies in the area, and this is the best option to maintain a smooth playing surface. And what are the benefits? It will extend the life of the courts and to allow it to be playable for many years to come. That is that explanation. And then we have the commercial freezer. It speaks for itself. The town decided to go out and buy all the used concession equipment, both at Weed Beach and Pear Tree. We bought this used equipment, I want to say it was in 2018 or 19. Well, both commercial freezers that were in the facilities were well over 20 years. And that's why Rob, the last vendor who sold it to us, did not charge us anything for it. And we continued to have to go in and spend money every year to keep the freezer from running, from dying, to keep it running. We actually had the vendor, not this particular year, but last year, actually lose hundreds of dollars of frozen food because the freezer stopped working overnight and no one knew it until the morning. So it's time to replace that and not have to worry about losing product. And then Pear Tree Beach, below that, $30,000. Again, that's a bid package for site work for parking lot and boat ramp improvement project at Pear Tree. So again, that's just the bid package for design and scope of work to be put out so we can get the proper vendors to bid on the project. And again, if that's approved, that money wouldn't be available until July. And then there's a process of going out for the bid, which takes a few months as well. So if we come down to this area, second page, $50,000 is a request for the bathhouse repairs and maintenance at Pear Tree. Let's see if I have a explanation over here. Yes, I do. This is what we'll be seeing. What problem or opportunity is being addressed by this project after receiving a tremendous amount of feedback from our community survey on Pear Tree Beach? Our Park and Rec Commission would like to make upgrades to the bathhouse. The impact of not doing this is receiving negative feedback from the community. What is the goal of the project to fix up the bathrooms by adding new dressing stalls, new toilets, light fixtures, and additional painting where needed? What options were investigated? The Park and Rec Commission has been researching this facility for the past 3 years with the Pear Tree Beach Building Committee. Rebuild or renovate has been the options, and after the community survey, it was determined that the community wants to see improvements to the current facility. And what are the benefits? To fix up the bathrooms so they are not dark and gloomy and create the same clean feeling as the Weed Beach bathrooms. So that's our proposal with that.
Can I ask
Then we
a
have a
question?
small, yes, please.
Pam, the $50,000 you just described is very helpful to Pear Tree, but when we were on the walk back this fall, we all talked about the gazebo and the crack through the gazebo. Is there any thought of fixing that in this budget?
There is not. No, that crack in that foundation was never brought to the commission's priority list when it came to this particular project. So this 50,000, mind you, too, I'm a little concerned because typically when we put a project through for a proposal on capital, we have a quote backing that amount of money up. And in this particular one, we do not have a quote backing this 50,000. It is a placeholder similar to what I threw out there for the Nature Center driveway. So I don't know where this one will fall, but the commission just felt that $50,000 would be an ample amount of funding to do something that would clean up the bathroom facilities. And they even took out the landscaping and all that. They really felt that it should be, well, maintenance is part of that landscaping and all that too. So it's, as I read through that proposal, it is about cleaning up that facility and making it look as clean and nice as the Weed Beach facility.
Right, and the committee had discussed that also. But it came across to me a few weeks ago that, whoa, what about the gazebo? And no, I did not bring it up to the commission because I thought the commission had at the time when we were sitting there talking about that chip on the side, that it was a little bit of a, hazard to people walking around up there. But Okay, I'm happy
Yeah,
with that fixed, believe me.
Yeah, personally, I would not say it is not a, in my professional opinion, it is not a safety hazard. And
Okay.
we have put in about well over $7,000, if not just under $10,000 in improvements to the gazebo in the last 5 years. So we have repainted it. We have redone the benches. So quite honestly, yes, there is a crack, and I guess we can actually have a vendor look at the and give a quote as to what we could do about that. We probably can just fill it for the time being, because we recently put a lot of money into that gazebo to make it look nice.
Yes,
But
I know. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. So small capital we have every year. We put it in every single capital improvement year, and it just helps with something that would be a miscellaneous expense that maybe just comes about, and we need that additional capital for an expenditure. Below that is our large mower. It's a big one. It's $90,000, but it is, and I'm going to read that one because Sandy helped me. Because I certainly I'm not riding on those mowers. But let's see. Actually, I guess I don't have that one on here. I did ones that I thought I would get questions on, but this mower we have a mower that's over 22 years old. And we continue to fix it so that it's working, but quite honestly, we need to replace it. They will only last so long. Our mowers are used daily. And certainly we'll keep that 22-year-old mower, and we'll continue to use it even when we have this new one until it completely dies. But we need to work faster and more efficiently, and we need to have reliable equipment. We are a parks crew, and we are responsible for making sure all of our parks look great and the grass is cut, each season. So it's just happening to fall at a time where we are requesting for the 22-year-old to be replaced. Then the last two, one is a paint machine.
It's Andy with a question.
Yes, Andy.
Go ahead.
Could I ask about the mower? Are we
Sure.
buying that new or used?
Oh, no, that's new. If that was used, we'd be in trouble.
What are
That's
we
brand new.
replacing that model, or buying something different from what's listed here?
We are replacing it to a new mower. Yes. And I believe this one's a little larger than the 22-year-old. I mean, they didn't make, they're faster now. They are a little bit bigger, so they can cut a bigger area than the 22 years ago.
Well, this particular model is not listed on the Toro website.
This is from the actual Toro vendor. So this quote comes from Toro. So I don't know why you're not seeing it, but that's the actual mower.
It's a very, very large machine.
It's a very large machine. And
that's why I wanted to inquire about it.
Yeah, and this is one that, we have 16 acres now at Highland. That was added to our responsibilities the last, 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. So that's also put a huge amount of work on our equipment. And who knows what we have coming with us when if we might have to take care of more property. Down to the last two, paint machine.
Questioning.
Go ahead.
Why we would buy something that seems to no longer be manufactured.
It is manufactured, so I'm not sure why you're not seeing it on this site, but that's quoted right from the Toro vendor. And I did not put it on the PDF here, but we did have a quote that was attached to the PDF, and that is attached to the summary that goes to the Board of Selectmen. So I would be happy to send over that quote to show you, Andy. if you're interested.
It doesn't take too much time. I certainly welcome it, but don't spend more than
Sure.
5 minutes at it.
I have no problem sending it to you, but it won't be until tomorrow, okay?
I can wait, believe me.
Okay. All right,
Thank
so
you.
moving on to the paint machine. The paint machine, again, is a piece of equipment that our crew uses on, I don't want to say daily, but extremely often during seasonal work, because we're constantly painting parking lot lines and field lines, and it's over 10 years old. We are now at the stage where we're having to fix it. We definitely need to have something reliable. And with this paint machine, we would be adding to our equipment, because we won't be getting rid of the old one yet, but we'll be able to not have to fully replace it in the first year, but the other one's on its way out. Stump grinder. We have the equipment right now to add this stump grinder on to a current piece of equipment that we have. So if that makes sense, it's not a separate piece of equipment. It's a additional piece that goes on to one of our tractors. Let's see if I actually added that one here. Did I? No, I didn't do that one either. I had so many capital improvement projects. But the stump grinder to me just makes so much sense. We are continually cutting trees that either are, down because of storms, or they're unhealthy, and our parks are left with so many stumps in the ground. And stumps cost anywhere from $300 to $500 a stump to remove. So the return on investment with this grinder would be very quick. So I think it's just a smart purchase. And that's my capital improvement budget. And there's a lot of them. And by no means, just so you all know, and some of you do, and some of you are new to this game, but by no means will we get all of these things. And now with all the projects capital improvement projects that every department in town hall puts forth to Kate Bush and Monica, they will have to make the strategic approvals to each department of where they feel each project is needed and necessary.
So Pam, next step, your next step is to take the commission's request that they voted on in December, which we're looking at. And your next step will be going to Monica and Kate, and you'll have a meeting with them. And then after that, Kate will put out the budget that the selectmen's budget essentially, and then the selectmen will review that. And then we'll continue.
Correct. So she will put forward, I'll meet with her on January 10th with Monica and the finance director, and we will discuss each one of these. And they have all those project summaries that I showed you that are, written in with all the different questions, and they have each one of those summaries. So they'll be well informed before I even meet with them. And, as Lori Bora has said multiple times to the commission, if it's something that you feel firmly about, that you'd like to see go forth, then please do your due diligence. So I will find out when those selectmen budget meetings are for the budgets, and if someone feels as if something got cut out before then, we should know about it. And then if we feel very strongly about the Board of Selectmen putting it back in, then that would be our opportunity to do so. And certainly with this committee, again, your influence is big. And so I hope that you support what you see here, and we'll pay attention to what happens going forth with what they decide to put forth.
That's I think as part of the process, this year it'll be a little bit different. Kate's not going to have a budget, a kickoff meeting where she sort of presents the budget. I think they're just going to go right into budget meetings. But I have on their list, I believe that Park and Rec is on the 31st of January that it will be reviewed. by the select.
Okay, yes, I didn't get that information yet, so I was going to confirm that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they put out their budget schedule. They can change it too, so everybody's got to double check as we go along. But
Yeah.
that for now is okay. I just lost everybody's pictures, so I hope they come back.
So do you still see the capital improvement plan screen?
I do. Okay. I
Okay,
do.
so I was going to minimize that and stop sharing.
And anybody have questions? We lost a few pictures, but I think everybody's still with us. Any other questions, anybody? Pam, that was just a terrific presentation and explanation of the budget. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It really is a lot.
It is a lot. It is.
Yeah, we appreciate your coming and filling us in. So does anybody have any more questions for Pam?
Now, Pam, I can say those write-ups that you did on the specific project is really helpful. You know,
Great.
Gives us all perspective on what you're doing in the process and how thorough you
Right.
are. So kudos for including that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, and it's through. You have to do this. Oops.
Yeah, you're coming and going there. Your audio is, but I know all those synopsis, whatever you call them, will be part of the. That's feedback. Is it me? The problem? Can you hear me now, folks?
I can hear
You
you.
can?
Bill.
Okay, good. I think that, yeah, it must have been Alicia. I think. So anyway, I don't need to chit chat. Thank you, Pam, for joining us. And if there are no other questions, we will let you go and say thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll be seeing you.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
We're still here, Bill. We're still here.
So am I.
Okay. I think that was great. It just was great. I really appreciate that. For the chairman's report, there are just a couple of things that were touched on at the commission's meeting that I thought we wanted to point out. First was that the commission will be voting on the park fee schedule at their next meeting, and so they reviewed it in December. A lot of you were there, and a couple of changes or additions. And one was a free first vehicle parking pass or beach permit for military residents. They decided to do that, and then I think for current serving military and folks that have previously served in the military, as long as they have some sort of a card that can prove that. And also a decision was made to start reservations for pickleball since it's busy. And I think they would the idea is to only reserve, take two of the courts take reservations for two of the courts. So it wouldn't be all reserved courts. And it would be $20 for an hour and a half reservation. So those are those additions. And the other was the dogs. They updated let me get back to what is it? It's the rules and regulations updated for dogs to include the winter dog program at Weed Beach, and what the designated areas, etc., which I sent to everybody, which is good. So it's very clear that all dogs must be supervised, and the owner must have a leash in hand, and the off leash area is designated very clearly, and it's limited, and they're only allowed in that specific area to be off leashed and to only be leashed in I think around the parking lot area, but not in the other parts not in the remaining areas of the beach or the bathhouse or the playground or the paddle courts, paddle or hut, surrounding deck, tennis courts, nor the wooded trails and picnic areas. So, and dogs are not permitted in Weed Beach Park from April 1st to October 1st. They also updated the Diller so that now Diller it does not allow dogs. Before the trail was put in at Diller, dogs were allowed there, but it is not, as it's part of the cross country trail, and those folks didn't want it to have dogs, so they had never updated their rules, so they have now. So does anybody have any comments or questions about the fee schedule or the dogs? I see. Alicia?
I just have a question about dogs generally speaking because I have a dog. And I'll take my dogs around to different parks and whatever, but um, is there any sort of what are we supposed to do if there's someone not following the rules? And I don't mean to be like obnoxious about it, but like if someone's not following the rules and it's to a true detriment to others, like what's the protocol?
I know it's difficult, isn't it? It really is. I mean, everybody's laughing. Yeah. Well, what can you do? You can call the police. I mean, if it's a real problem, you can call the police. Nobody wants to call the police, but that really is the bottom line. And I have been known to say something to somebody, but people, you never know about people's reactions, and so that's not necessarily a good idea. I certainly was at Highland, and I had someone call out to somebody whose dog was not leashed, and so I supported that person that called out to them. But it, you know, it didn't rise to the level of calling the police. So it's just too bad more people. I think they would try to be positive and encourage people to follow the rules, because I don't know if it's bad enough, it could very well be that people will lose that ability to have to walk your dogs on the leashes, which would be a real shame. Cheryl, you had your hand up.
Yeah, well, let me just respond to Alicia. It is a difficult situation. We've had many incidences down at Pear Tree, and that's one of the questions I had. Everything, Cherry Lawn was listed, Diller was listed, Tilly was listed, and Weed Beach is listed, but nothing's listed in the rules and regulations about Pear Tree. No
Yeah,
dogs
it
are.
is. It is.
I didn't see it. I just looked at it. Did I miss it?
It's with where it is. It's with Diller. Um,
Oh, okay.
where
I
they
missed it.
where they mention Diller, they say Diller and Pear Tree are not allowed to have dogs. Diller and Pear Tree Point Beach, no dogs are permitted except at the Pear Tree Point parking lot on leash to access the Darien Boat Club during periods when the club is open.
Thank you for letting me know that. I stand corrected. I missed that. But on the other hand, what I say to people, because they bring them into Pear Tree all the time, is that one, you can call the animal control officer. He works, I believe, 8 to 3, and he works through the police department. So you can either call the police department and ask for his number, or you can get his number and call him directly. That's the best thing to do. But 9 times out of 10, it's always when he's not working on a weekend. So then we call the police. I've been very nice. I say to people, just so you know, you can get a fine if the animal control officer or the police come down here and see you in here with the dog. And of course, some people are, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I thought it was only during beach season. It's all year long, I say. It's all year long. And Pam had said that she would get some signage down there, and there's signage up at Diller, but we've yet to see the signage at Pear Tree. So I think signage at Pear Tree would help. I think signage at other parks would help also. It needs to be, I guess it needs to be huge in flashing lights. I don't know, because people just do what they want to do and they don't pay attention. So that's my advice: to call the dog warden and call the police.
Alicia?
Thank you so much. I'm probably not going to do that. But I do agree with your point about the signage because I do think there's a lot of confusion because we have a bunch of awesome parks and there's all these different rules at the different parks. And I just feel like better signage honestly would just clear a lot of this stuff up. There's always going to be people who want to break the rules. That's fine. I mean, I'm not a policeman, but I do think to your point, like a lot of people truly do not know. And because there's different rules at different beaches and different woodland parks and other nature preserves or what have you, maybe, I think if we care about the dog situation at all, maybe we should get some signage up.
It's Andy, actually, there are signs, but particularly at Pear Tree, but they're not
Sure.
clear. And they don't say year round, and they don't say it includes your dog.
The one going in, they moved, there's a quite a large sign that was on the gatehouse and going into Pear Tree. But because you pull in on an angle into that beach and not straight in like at Weed, you missed it. So they moved the sign over to the telephone pole because they take the gatehouse away in the wintertime. So they moved it over to the telephone pole. That sign's there. There's one small sign on the beach. Andy's correct. There's a sign on the beach that does not say all year long. It just says no dogs allowed per the Park and Recreation Commission. That's it. So I've asked for one to be put on the gate as people come walking down Long Neck Point or Pear Tree Road, and they come into the gate to throw the business away in the garbage can, and then they come in and they let the dog loose and the dog runs all over the beach. I've asked for a sign there. I've asked for a sign on the back beach and on the west beach, and I've asked for a sign, another sign down further on the front, on the south beach. So I ask for them every year. Every year I ask for signage, and every year I don't get it. So I don't know what else to do.
We should have mentioned it when Pam was telling us her
I know.
budget. I didn't think of it.
Yeah. I've always thought that the less words, perhaps the better. I really like a universal sign with a picture of a dog big enough that you can see it with the line through it. I mean, that's pretty
Right.
straightforward, but we'll see. We'll keep working
The
at it,
current
folks.
signs have the majority of the space dedicated to whose authority dogs are prohibited, and very little about the dog part.
Anyone else? I agree.
Dog icon is a great idea.
Okay, folks. That's really it for my chairman's report, except I guess there were a couple of things that Pam highlighted in her director's report, that the air conditioning got installed at Weed Beach concession, that the RFP went out for service for the kayak services for next year, that we talked about the gazebo and what was happening there. And a bid went out for the tennis court, the new tennis court. Excuse me, the paddle tennis court. So that bid that they should have opened those bids before Christmas, actually, for that. So that's what I have. I think we in the holiday, the old-fashioned holiday event. I think if anybody watched the commission's meeting, you heard how what a big success that was. That was really a super thing, a super event. So that's it for my chairman's report. Does anyone have any other business?
Just a question. Can you hear me? I'm on
Yes,
the phone
I can.
and okay. Did we vote on the acceptance of the 20,000 for the renovation of the gazebo?
No, what we did was that I put that in there because I explained at the beginning, but you were still working hard trying to get on the meeting. That money, they will right now they've just put the bid out, so they don't have they haven't gotten the bids in. They'll open the bids at the end of the month for the bid package for fixing the rest of the gazebo. And once they do that, then I think they'll start the process of going through the various boards for accepting the gift. So that we're going to wait. So we'll probably see this again next month, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm very happy to hear that actually, because I did want to vote for that.
Okey-doke. And
Okay,
that's
thanks.
Shannon. You're welcome. Is that Shannon or is it Patty who would like to speak? It's caller 3. No? Okay. In that case, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alyssa and Kim. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.